Good morning, everyone. June 18th, 2020. Welcome to my channel and welcome to another episode of the Project 2020 show. We're about to learn a lot about where we stand right now and then about where we're going with this product throughout the next couple of days and the next couple of weeks. We have a lot of exciting things coming down the pipeline. But first, if you are a fan of Project 2020 and you're not subscribed to the channel, please hit that button. We have a simple goal, and that is to be at 2,000 subs by the time we get to July 1st. So we need your help. So please hit that button. And now let's get to episode number 29. So here we are, Thursday morning. We just had the Mike Trout and the Ted Williams get announced. And the funny part here is in my notes, the title of the show is going to be, what we have a lot to learn. We're going to learn a lot about the next couple of days, as I said here in the intro. And now with these two cards coming out, we knew the Trout was coming out, but we didn't know what card was coming with it. And that Ted Williams, at least to me in the moment, that's a better looking card than Mike Trout. And I never thought that we would see a day where a card from a visual perspective, right? Now these are pieces of art. These are not baseball cards that would overshadow Mike Trout. And I don't think it's going to sell more than Mike Trout. That's not going to happen, at least in my opinion. If it does, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. But I don't think it is. But I think from a visual perspective, the Tyson Beck, who has just been killing it recently, I think this card is better than the Mike Trout. Even though I do like JK5's designs, this card paired with Ted Williams, I think it's second all day long. Not a chance that the Mike Trout is better looking than the Ted Williams. The Ted Williams piece to me is a display piece. Like I talked about last week with the McGuire, I really like this Ted Williams. I think it could go really well on the shelf, and so we'll see how the sales come out. But we'll talk about those here at the end, and I'll gush more about them at the end as we go through their actual individual numbers. But the one thing we've learned really in the moment this week, it's been nice, is that Topps has been giving us print runs at least the past couple of days in the moment within like the first hour and a half of after the sales have ended. Maybe that's because they're not selling as much, so maybe they don't have to add up as many numbers or validate that they're all accurate. But it has been nice to see them come out. So you might start to see these shows come out a little bit later. I have been sort of rushing them in a sense to get them out before the print run, since I do talk about the cards that are getting announced. But due to the fact that it looks like I'm struggling right now to beat them to print, I'm going to probably spend a couple more minutes editing these videos to make sure they're good to go. And look, simply put, I have my projections a day early on the website, also on the show. So there's no benefit to trying to rush this out before the print runs get announced. So, but look, as we talk about print runs today, the biggest thing we're going to learn and the biggest question mark right now is where are we at with Mariano and where are we at with Mattingly? By looking at the pre-order numbers from yesterday, I had them at a goal of, or a target of 140 and 70. And they came in just under that number. So here again, I overshot both of those numbers with the Mattingly coming in at 131 and the Rivera coming in at 66. It was good to see a quick sidebar here that the Frank Thomas and the Griffey came in at my sort of range in a sense. The Griffey performed a little better than I thought it would, but it's really nice to see those come in at my projection level. But now when you look at Mattingly and Rivera, there are so many unknowns with this card. And I put it on Twitter yesterday around the overall projection. So I've got it at Mattingly 10 to 13, and I've got Mariano at 8 to 10K. I am completely uncertain on these ranges. There are so many unknowns right now that it's really hard to figure this out. There's obviously number one is the Yankee bump. The fans, I don't know how if you're a Yankee fan, if you only buy one of the cards. I understand there is a lot of distaste for the Mariano. People did not like the fact that Blake put a fanny pack in that he's selling. I get all that, but it's their cards. So I don't know if you're a Yankee fan and you only buy one. So to me, there's a natural 1-for-1 here, but it's going to be greater than what we saw for Nolan Ryan and Doc Gooden. I could easily see a Mets fan not buying one of the two or not buying the Doc Gooden or whatever that could be, but you're talking about two legendary Yankees here, and I don't know how they don't get purchased together at the same time. You also have the Blake Jameson effect. He is going to buy a ton to sell for autographs. Could he buy another 1,000? So that's going to artificially inflate that number altogether. I could see these being very close to each other, like we saw with JK5. I think it was the Ricky Henderson and the Roberto Clemente. I don't know for sure on that one. But, these numbers could be very similar, and that's why I have 10K as a low for Mattingly and a 10K as a high for Mariano. So I think I'm kind of hedging there with that number, but those two could be very similar. We'll find out, but I just don't know on these two ranges. But now looking at the pre-orders from Dwight Gooden and Ichiro, this is the second unknown of the week. Dwight Gooden has 31 pre-orders and Ichiro has 55. Now, my heart hurts when I see Ichiro only with 55, but this speaks to the fact that people are not in love with Fucci and Keith Shore. Only the flippers who wanted to make thousands were in love with Keith Shore with the Griffey. But are we about to see a under 6,000 print run? Look, the Frank Thomas came in at 6,700, and that's in line with where we've seen the floor right now, 6,000, 6,500. Is Doc Gooden going to post under 6K? Is that number going to be broken? I only think he's going to have 50 pre-orders this morning after today on eBay. And to me, 4 to 6K, that's a healthy number when you think of people still buying it on eBay. I don't know if that's going to be the case or if they're all going to go to tops. If we're going to see this return to 2.5% eBay penetration, that could kill the number down to 2 to 3,000. I don't think we're going to get to that level. But I really think with this Gooden, we could see a sub 6 number, and it could be even as low as 4 to 5. But then again, like I said yesterday, I wouldn't panic too much about that. It's still a good number when you think back to the first 56 cards, where it was only about a 3,000 average or 2,200 average when you take away Mike Trout. Now, you're looking at the Ichiro. Look, 80 reservations as my target after 48 hours. 5 to 7K here. I just don't think people are in love with Keith Shore enough to buy this card. I don't think it's going to top 10K. The Griffey is where it is. I just don't see that happening. We'll see tomorrow morning, but I think these ranges, to me, I feel confident in, just like I did with Thomas and Griffey. I just don't feel as confident with the Mattingly and the Rivera, because there's just so many buying pattern unknowns right now that we're going to be curious. I'll be curious to see where they land. But now let's look at the market and learn one more thing. Now, one thing I've learned is how to add even more numbers to the screen. But no, look, this is just for today when it comes to the top 20 pricing. What I've done is I've just added 6/17 yesterday, and then tomorrow morning I'll go ahead and combine the 16th and the 17th, and then I will compare that to the 18th. But look, there's some good movement again on these top 20 cards. I mean, Ichiro's up, 2%. I think Gibson's up 25%. Now, look, only one sale on a couple of them. The one that surprised me a little bit was the Maguire. And if you've been following me on Twitter yesterday, I was sharing a couple of these items that were actually going for more than last week. But then there was somebody who sold like a Maguire for $100, and so I wasn't going to start manipulating the data to figure out why that sale's there for $100 and not. So look, that one's showing that it's down, but it's still up overall when you think about the other two sales compared to last week. But look, there's some good stuff here. I mean, Frank Thomas, even the Frank Thomas bin baller, 155 yesterday with 6 sales versus 149. Now, still down a little bit to the previous week and, to 6.2 to 6.8, but still there's some movement there, at least in the very micro time frame, that these cards could be moving up. So we're gonna find out. And another thing that I'm looking at from a learning experience here and trying to figure out what this means is this chart here when it comes to the overall volume per day. Now, look, up to 82 Jeter, which I'll be getting in today, there are now going to be up to 400,000 cards out in the sort of Project 2020 economy. But then when you look at the next 8 cards, there are another 400,000 coming out. So we're going to double the print run basically live in the next 8 cards. But when you look at this chart, the volume is dropping, and I don't know why that is. And it's trying to figure out, there are more cards incoming, and they're not being sold on eBay, or they're not being sold in general. So I don't know if there is a ton of inventory online that is priced too high, that's just not moving, or what that is. But I figured, I spoke a couple of weeks ago around the episode around the surge is coming. I really expected this inventory to sort of sell, continue to pick up and sell more every single day. People trying to offload this inventory. And the people who bought this inventory, up to Griffey and then really past Griffey, are not people who are necessarily in the sports card world. And I don't know where they'd be moving that inventory if not for eBay. I know you can do StockX now, and you can do Mercari, I think that's how you say it. There's other websites out there, but eBay, of course, is still the number one. So it's just very curious to me that how the volume is dropping every day from just a sold perspective when there's so much more inventory coming out. I mean, if people are just not selling these, that may be a good thing overall, because they're just sitting on them, maybe hoping they're going to go up. So that could potentially keep some of these cards up to $25, $26 versus $20. We'll find out, but it's going to be very curious to see how this chart comes out over the next 2 weeks as we end up the month of June. Now let's look at the cards that got released today. So if you haven't seen him enough already, here is the Mike Trout JK5, the color, the laser beams. I think it's such a great JK5 interpretation, just not as good as Ted Williams. But more importantly, let's now look at JK5 and his progression so far. So this is his 7th card. We just had him a week or so ago with the Ricky Henderson, but he led us off with Ted Williams. Then he had Ichiro, Willie Mays, Roberto Clemente, Mariano, and then the Ricky Henderson. So print run wise, Ted Williams, Ichiro, Willie Mays, all under 2K. Then Clemente right after the Jameson Ermsey line, 8,500. Then the Rivera spikes to 35, and then the Henderson, we're starting to come back to normal now with 11,578. So he is in the top 10 with that Rivera right now at 35,000. But looking at Mike Trout, obviously the trendsetter for the set overall, and look, the only current player in this set. So first card, of course, was Ermsey, then Andrew Thiel, Ben Baller, Fucci, Jacob Rochester, and then the recent Blake Jameson, which sold 74,000 copies, which is just a mind-boggling amount. But he has sold 176,000 cards. He is the number 1 athlete out there, and he's the only current player, 29,000 on average. And of course, his best card is number 100, which is second. So this begs the question, where is Mike Trout going to finish in this current buying environment? I don't know if he puts up 74,000 again. I mean, yes, there are going to be 10 autographs, but does this do 30, 25, 50? It's so hard to say. I want to see where these pre-orders land today, because this is not 100, but this is also not Andrew Thiel or Ben Baller. So we'll figure this one out tomorrow morning. But hey, here is that Ted Williams. I saved the best for last. Enough gushing about Ted Williams overall. Let's get to Tyson Beck and see where he is at the moment. So this is his 7th card. He led us off with Dwight Gooden, then Griffey, Cal Ripken, George Brett, the Bob Gibson, which I think is really good looking, and then you have the recent Sandy Koufax. Also, if you're looking for an autograph Sandy Koufax version, he's going to be selling these here pretty soon, next couple of days, so check out his website, sign up for his email list, because there's a way to get these available, I think on the 20th, I believe. But when you look at his print runs overall, look, Dwight Gooden, one of the lowest cards, actually the lowest card right now, 116 at 1,065. Then Griffey spiked a little bit, Ripken 2, Brett to under 2,000. So look, he's had a pretty muted response so far to his cards. I think they look really good actually. And then you look at his Sandy Koufax, which spiked up to 21,000 overall. So that's his best printed card right now at 21,000 at just 17th overall. But when you look at Ted Williams, where he's come from, his progression so far, this is his 6th card. Obviously, his first card was JK5, and then Fucci, Ermsey, F. and then the recent bubble card when it comes to Old Man Allen. He has sold 57,000 cards. He is the 7th best athlete, averaging 11,500 per card. But there again, look, this is a bubble number. And then his best card is 90th, which is at Old Man Allen at 6th. So, where do we see this card falling? Is it in the 15,000 range, 13,000, 10,000? Look, just like the Trout and everything else this week, the 24-hour number will tell the story. So no idea yet, but we'll know more tomorrow morning. So there we have it. We're about to learn a lot of different things about this set right now. And number 1 is going to be, where is this print run for Mattingly and Rivera going to fall? Are they going to be similar, or are they going to be very different from each other? It's going to be very interesting to see and find out. But with that, have a fantastic Thursday, and I'll see you back tomorrow morning for episode number 30 of the Project 2020 show.